Two player props for week 7 Monday Night Football as the Los Angeles Chargers travel to State Farm Field to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we're coming off a pretty profitable Sunday as the Lions covering plus 2.5 and winning outright was huge for all of our Lions futures, win total, division, best record. We got the Lions in almost every way possible, so that win over the Vikings was big. We also hit Tyler Huntley under 31.5 rushing yards. That one was tough as Huntley exited the game with an injury and then didn't return. We don't wish injuries on anyone, so hopefully Huntley just ends up being okay. But we did lose on the 49ers money line, giving us a 2-1 Sunday. Debo Samuel ended up getting sick and not playing. Ayuk went out early with an injury. That's when injuries don't help us. And Purdy definitely didn't help at all, throwing 3 interceptions, all within the Chiefs' 40-yard line. I'll take a 2-1 day, but let's go 2-0 on Monday Night Football. Because if you're stumbling onto this page for the first time, welcome. My name is Peter Appel, and I'm going for my 4th straight profitable NFL season. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think of my picks for Monday Night Football, as well as your picks for the big game, whether it be in Ravens versus Buccaneers as well. I'll be sure to answer all the questions in the comment section, just like I always do. A reminder that this channel is sponsored by BetMGM. It is the perfect time to use promo code JustGridiron for a first bet offer up to $1,500. Deposit at least $10, and if you lose your first wager on BetMGM after using code JustGridiron, you'll get it all back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. However, gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. If you haven't gotten BetMGM yet, both of these plays are on BetMGM, just like all my plays. So I highly recommend get those bonus bets in there if any of these were to lose. I don't think they're going to, though. Let's talk about our first prop, Justin Herbert. So Herbert has played in every single game this season, but an ankle injury has kind of hobbled him from week 3 on against the Steelers. Took a nasty sack and came up limping. He didn't look his most athletic against the Chiefs. Then he had a bye week to rest up. Came back last week. I watched it. He played well, but there was a common theme though. He's not scrambling. He's not running at all. Over the last 3 weeks, he has 2 rushing yards on 8 carries. He had a run of 5 yards last week, but a few kneel downs got him down to 2 rushing yards total. He hasn't really ran at all this year, running for 18 yards on 6 carries, aided by a 13-yard run against the Panthers. That was his only good game on the ground. He had 6 rushing yards in week 1. If he's still dealing with his ankle, which it looks like it might be, his rushing yards lines really should be in the single digits. While he's averaged 13 rushing yards per game over his career, clearly not doing that this year. And this kind of dates back to last year. The last 2 games of the season, he combined for -5 rushing yards. Even last year, some breakout games, right? He had a 74-yard rushing game. Still, he averaged 3.9 rushing yards per attempt. So if he's able to go back to 2023, average 4 yards an attempt in this game, go over his 3.5 carries line, and no kneel downs, he'll have 16 yards. That just doesn't feel like that's in the cards for Justin Herbert, especially right now in this matchup, because the Cardinals, they have one of the worst run defenses in the league. But that's against running backs. Against quarterbacks on the ground, they're league average, ranking 17th in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. It makes sense. We talk about quarterback rushing yards all the time. We look for situations where a team has a high pressure rate and they have a good secondary, right? That'll force quarterbacks to scramble more often than not if their receivers are covered. Not only do the Cardinals have the 30th ranked secondary, they have the 4th lowest pressure rate. Receivers should be open and they should be able to run the ball with their running backs. I don't think Herbert's going to have to scramble at all. This is also the largest edge my model has for Monday Night Football on Rithmm. The same model that has given us 3 straight winners. Chris Godwin over 62.5. He had 120. Bo Nix over 24.5 rushing yards. He had 75. Tyler Huntley under 31.5 rushing yards. He has 20. So if you want to use their model or create your own on Rithmm, go to the description of this YouTube video and click the link. Use code CORE25JG for 1 week trial and 25% off your first month. The discount and the free trial only lasts to the end of Monday night tonight. So get that in ASAP if you're interested. So the model has Justin Herbert going under 12.5 rushing yards 76.5% of the time, projected for just 7.8 yards. So instead of the normal 13.5, 12.5 line, I'm taking under 10.5 rushing yards at plus 120 for a unit. This is either going to look really smart or really stupid because it is such a low line, but I want all the value I can get considering he's averaging 5.2 rushing yards per game with a median of just 2. My second player prop centers around Michael Wilson, the Cardinals wide receiver. I'm sure Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride will be very popular, but Wilson's consistency at home, combined with the Chargers' focus on those two guys I just named, combined with the coverage they run, is showing a lot of value for Kyler Murray's third option as a wide receiver. So, just math perspective, he averages 11.3 yards per reception, and his receptions line is 2.5 minus 175 towards the over. So if he catches 3 balls, 33 yards receiving. If we look at every single game Michael Wilson has ever played, the only time he didn't have at least 34 yards if he caught 3 passes was against the Seahawks last season. He had 3 catches for 26 yards. He's been over 30.5 in 4 of his 6 games this year. And of course, every single time this year that he's caught 3 passes, he's been over 30.5. He had 31 yards in week 2 against the Rams on just 2 catches. And Michael Wilson has exceeded 30.5 receiving yards in 6 of his last 7 games at home, averaging 45.7 receiving yards. He's been fantastic whenever he's at State Farm Field. He went over this line in all 3 games at home this season, and in 7 games at home last year, he was over this line in 5 of them. One of them where he went under, Joshua Dobbs was his quarterback, and the other one was weird. Targeted 3 times against the 49ers, didn't have a catch. Not sure. But here's why I really do like it. The Chargers play zone coverage, the highest rate in the NFL. Among wide receivers on the Cardinals, Michael Wilson leads the Cardinals pass catchers, wide receivers, in yards, receptions, and routes run. He has 220 yards receiving this year against zone. Next closest, Marvin Harrison Jr. with 187. This is an excellent spot for Wilson, but it's a little bit lower. Why? Chargers. They have a really, really good defense, right? They do play a lot of zone coverage, but overall, they rank 8th in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers. My model on Rithmm is also showing value in this play, even though 31.5 was loaded in instead of the readily available 30.5. Regardless, the projection for Wilson is 36.5, so I would take this all the way to 32.5. I think it's just a little bit lower because Chargers have a really, really good defense. So this is going to be a tough one to get. But based on the coverage, based on what I think the Chargers are going to try and clamp down Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, it's going to be Michael Wilson with the big catches at home where he always excels against the Chargers. Give me over 30.5 receiving yards to win 1 unit. Excuse me, not to win 1 unit. We're just betting 1 unit. Doesn't show as much value as the Justin Herbert prop. And of course, it is a tough matchup, but I think he gets there. Over 30.5 playable to 32.5. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. Toss a like, right? If you enjoyed the profitable Monday Night Football, you enjoyed the profitable Sunday football or Thursday Night Football with Bo Nix, whatever. It's getting weird. They're all blending in with each other. Appreciate everybody listening. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you for Thursday Night Football. But let's go 2-0 on Monday Night Football. Why not us?